Okay, everyone, we'll go ahead and get the afternoon started. First and foremost, my name is Aaron Sumrall. For those of you that are new to the webinar series, I am the Research Director, Outreach, and Education Director for Pig Brig Trap Systems. Tonight, what we're going to do is we've got Ryan Farney with us from Arkansas Game and Fish. That's going to talk about the conservation incentive program that's going on there with regard to the wild pig aspect of it. But before we turn it over to Ryan tonight, what we're going to do, the way this is going to flow this afternoon, is give you the opportunity to log in any questions that you may have in the Q&A feature that's on the platform. So depending on what device you're on, just hover your cursor, whatever it is, over the screen there, and it'll pop up either on the top of the screen, the bottom of the screen, something of that nature. You'll see the Q&A. And what I want you to do, so we can make sure that you're comfortable with the feature and know how to enter in the possible questions that you may have, I'm going to give you a question, and I want you to type in the answer to that question in that Q&A, just to make sure that we know that you know where the features are, you know how to operate it. So the question that I want you to type in an answer is on the property that you are going to be managing, how long have pigs been present on that particular property? So go ahead and log that into the Q&A. Again, it's going to be how long have pigs been present on the property that you intend to manage? So put those answers in there. I see some of them that are starting to light up now. And that's good. That's what we want to see. We want to see the navigation is there. So while y'all are continuing to put those answers into that Q&A feature, just know that what's going to happen tonight as we go through there, Ryan will be covering content specifically about the conservation incentive program, and it'll be the responsibility of myself and a couple of other Pig Brig colleagues to monitor that Q&A feature and to log in the questions that you may have. So what we're going to do is Ryan will cover the content in its entirety. And then whenever we get to the end of Ryan's content coverage, then any questions that you have logged in that haven't been covered, or that we think we may need to cover those again, we will pose those questions at that time. So again, just use that Q&A as we go through. Again, we're not going to end this thing until everyone has their questions answered. So we'll be here for its entirety. But at this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Ryan. So, like I said, Ryan Farney is Arkansas Game and Fish, and he is the Feral Pig Task Force leader for the operation that's coming up now on the conservation incentive programs. And I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and let him give a little more of an introduction and take it from here.
Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate that. So yeah, just to reintroduce myself, I'm Ryan Farney. I coordinate the Feral Hog program for the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. And I've been with Arkansas for about 3 years now. And I've had the opportunity to work all across the state, help a bunch of private landowners and, government organizations. And I feel like we're making great strides here, but, I'm happy to announce that in just a few days, we're going to start opening applications for this conservation incentive program. And I'm really excited to see where it goes. And I have a few questions here lined up, and I'm just kind of roll through them to get things started tonight. But with my experience with working with feral hogs in Arkansas, we all know that they're destructive animals, and I imagine that's why you all here tonight. But they do millions of dollars in damage every single year to Arkansas. We're talking about damage to everything from row crops to cemeteries. Wallowing and rooting are the most common sources of damage. We lose our ability to manage native wildlife when our areas are overrun with feral hogs. So not only are they, causing millions of dollars of damage, but they're also very destructive to our natural resources, which in some cases is just as bad or worse. So I think one of the main reasons that this program was started, or I say the conservation incentive program was started, and the feral hog part of that is just a piece of it. There's actually like 8 practices, but the feral hog trapping is just one portion of that. But there are really 3 ways to go about trying to control feral hogs in any given area, in my opinion. The first one is to leave that completely up to the government, whether that be state or federal, to hire full-time employees to go out and to manage those animals on the landscape. And in my honest opinion, I think that there are just not enough people that you can hire to cover 32 million acres in Arkansas. Unfortunately, we have feral hogs in every single county of the state to some degree, And I just don't think that that's feasible to do, to hire, state or federal employees for every single county to really manage the problem. The other option is just to completely leave it up to private landowners. And sometimes that doesn't work as well. We've done that on our management areas to a degree up until about 2016. And we discovered that that wasn't working well. And so what the beautiful thing about this conservation incentive program is that it's merging those two. We're working with private landowners, more effectively now than ever to get traps on pieces of property that we wouldn't have been able to touch before. We're going to be able to put equipment in your hands that you're going to be able to use anytime that you need, anytime that you want. And I hope that, at the end of this, we're able to say that, we've discovered a new way, and maybe discovered is the wrong word, but we're going in the right direction for how we're going to manage hogs in Arkansas. So what are the goals of this program? And let me clarify that this first year, from January to December, it's a pilot year. What that means is that this first year is basically a proof of concept year. Can we roll this program out effectively? Can we get traps on the landscape? And can we prove that putting equipment in a private landowner's hand is actually going to reduce the feral hog density on that property or in that area? And we're looking at several different ways of doing that. We're looking at doing it through landowner surveys, which if you enroll for this program and you get approved, you will get a notice of a survey at the end of it, probably in this coming December sometime. We're also looking at doing it through monitoring removal data over the course of the project. So again, if you get approved, you will be supplied with an application that you can put on your phone, and we're going to we're going to require that you enter removal data after your trapping events. And the third way that we're looking at doing this, at proving this concept, is we're going to be monitoring water quality on a handful of properties that sign up through this application. So through these three methods, we hope to be able to demonstrate to ourselves and to the landowners and to the state legislature, which supplied this money for this program, that this concept works and it's worthwhile, it's worth our time and our effort, and that we need to continue to do this. This first round of applicants that are going to be able to secure these traps are proving a concept that's going to help Arkansans in the future, protect their property from feral hogs. So, it's a challenge to both us and to those that get on this program that, this can work and what we're doing here works. So some of the criteria, and if you looked into this much at all, it's pretty easy. We tried to make this program as simple as possible. And some of the criteria are that, one, you own or lease at least 100 acres in the state. And if you don't own 100 acres, or you're not on a lease of at least 100 acres, we have an option to apply as a co-op. And that basically means that you're going in with your neighbors, family or friends, whoever, and you're basically combining your properties to give yourself an application that has a total of 100 acres or more. And so that's really easy to do. We're not asking for deeds. We basically just want GPS data on what properties are going to be on your application, which I'm going to go over the complete application here in just a moment, and I'll show you what that looks like. But there's no deed required, and there's no lease agreement required if you're on a lease. So we just need the GPS data for the properties that are going to be on your application. And we also need the information for the other landowners that are going to be co-opting with you on that application. So if you can provide us with an application that has at least 100 acres on it, and then second, if you can provide photo evidence of feral hog damage on your property, which, if you're applying for a feral hog trap, I hope that you are able to supply some type of photo evidence of feral hog damage on the property. So that could be rooting, that could be wallowing, that could be rubs on trees, even feral hog tracks, anything like that that can demonstrate that, yes, there is a feral hog issue on these properties. Those are the two requirements that we're going to ask for. And if you can fulfill those requirements, then you're going to be able to apply for this program. And it's a first come, first served program, which means that if you meet these two requirements and you apply before the allotted money runs out, you're going to be able to get your trap. And that's pretty much the gist of it, as far as the overall overarching concepts of the program. And there are going to be educational opportunities. So the first educational opportunity is not really an opportunity, it's a requirement. So when you apply, when you complete your application, there's going to be a training video on our Arkansas Game and Fish website that you're going to have to watch. It's about 9 minutes long. It's not very complicated, but we are going to require that you watch that and then take a quiz over that test. And the quiz is 10 questions long. All the links to the application, to the training video, and to the quiz will be on the Arkansas Game and Fish website. So they'll all be right there beside each other. It will not be hard to find. Once you watch the video and then you take the quiz, when you take the quiz, you have to pass with the 80% or better. Every time you complete the quiz, you'll get an email sent automatically to your email address. Once you get an 8 out of 10 on the quiz, then you pass. And then I will get automatic notification to my email that you have passed. Once that happens, we'll initiate your approval letter. Once you receive your approval letter, then you're going to be able to go forward and start buying your traps and getting everything set in order. So that's kind of how the process is going to flow. You'll submit your application, you'll then watch the video, and then you'll take the quiz. Once you complete the quiz, you're going to be good to go. So that's the first educational opportunity. The second is that we're going to set up in-person workshops across the state for the various trap systems that are going to be a part of this program. And specifically Pig Brig here, we are going to be setting up workshops across the state so that if you get your trap and you have questions about how to most effectively trap with the Pig Brig, we're going to provide you opportunities that you can come in person, ask questions, work with us, work with Aaron and myself and others. And so that we're going to ensure that you can be as effective as possible at using your equipment, because the last thing that we want to do is put equipment in your hands and then not equip you with the mental knowledge to be able to use that equipment efficiently. So those are going to be some educational opportunities that are going to be presented throughout the course of the year. And like I said, this will run through the end of December, but the traps that you buy through this program are yours to keep forever. We're going to ask that you submit removal data and keep up with the trap up until the end of December of this coming year. And then once that happens, we will likely switch over to a different app that you can continue to report your removal data on. And I encourage everyone that's watching this that's going to apply to continue to do that, because that's vital information for us as an agency that's managing these species across the state. It's vital that we get that. So I would encourage you to continue doing that even after this pilot program period is over. So yeah, it'll run through the end of December, and then that's when we'll be able to take our findings, calculate everything, tabulate all the data, present that to the state legislature, and make our case to continue this program. So I think I've covered a couple of the steps. Aaron, is there anything that you can think of that may be pertinent that I have not touched on so far?
The one thing, Ryan, that come to mind really quickly there, whenever you were talking about the size of the acreages that could apply, what is the trap density? How many traps per 100 acres? How many? What can they do as far as density of the traps?
That's right. That's a good point. So we've decided that we're only going to be able to supply one trap per 100 acres. We didn't feel like that there was a need to have multiple traps on a tract of land that's only 100 acres large. You can easily cover 100 acres with one trap. You have a max reimbursement rate of $10,000. That means that we will reimburse you up to 10 grand. You can potentially spend over that. If you spend X amount of dollars, and your 75% reimbursement rate comes out to right at $10,000, then that's what you'll get. If you spend less than that, then you'll get 75% of whatever you spend, but a max of 10,000. In addition to that, like I said, it's going to be one trap per every 100 acres. So if you've got a 400 acre piece of land that you're managing, you could potentially buy 4 traps if you wanted to. I think that 4 traps is probably, more than what you would really want for a 400 acre piece of land. But again, that's totally up to you and what you want to do. But you've got a one trap per 100 acres and then a max reimbursement of $10,000. So I think that covers most of it. Aaron, anything else? But if not, then I'm going to transition to the application and I'll
Real
work
quick,
through
while we're
that.
here, Ryan, too, there has been a couple of questions come in while you're in that transitional deal.
Uh-huh.
Is one, I think it's goes back to the documentation that they have to prove, and I think this is one that's a pretty standard there. But what about photos of hogs themselves?
Photos of hogs themselves is something that we will take, but we really want I'm assuming you're talking about trail cam photos. The And that's something that we will take. But when I talk about photos of damage on the landscape, we're hoping that, and I'll go over this in the application, but we're hoping that you can actually be out on the property with your phone and have GPS service location GPS services enabled. You may be thinking to yourself, I don't know how the heck to enable GPS location services on my phone to take a picture. Well, I assure you it's a lot simpler than you think. And I will go over that in the application, but that's what we're really hoping for, is that you can actually be out on the property, see some routing, take a picture of it with your phone, and that's something that you'll upload to the application. Not to say that, in addition to that, you can send in trail cam photos of pigs on your property. We will take that as well, but we're really hoping for that picture off your phone that would demonstrate that you do have actual feral hog damage on your property. I don't want to call anybody out on anything, but sometimes people can upload photos of they can upload a trail cam photo, and we actually really don't have any way of determining what property that trail camera was on at the time, to my understanding. So that's kind of what I'm referring to when I talk about, uploading a picture of damage.
Okay,
Any
the
other
other question
questions?
here that come in, yeah, one more here that's I got a couple of them actually that come in. It says noticing lots of damage on the Mississippi River. It says who would be responsible for catching, purchasing these traps, the state or the local landowners? So this landowner program,
I'm
the
sorry, can
actual
you read?
purchasing. So yeah,
The actual purchasing of a trap is going to be left up to the landowner that's applying. So what'll happen is that you'll submit your application, and upon approval, once you receive your notice of approval, then you will go out and you will pay for the trap upfront 100%. Okay. And this is something else I should have touched on as well. But once you receive your approval letter, you will then purchase your trap, and you will then send in your receipts, your paid receipts or your paid invoice. It's ultimately going to be sent to me, and you'll have my email address because I'll be emailing back and forth with the participants in this program. So you'll have my email. You'll send your paid receipt or your paid invoice to me. Once that happens, we'll automatically initiate your 45% of this total 75%. So we're going to initiate the first 45% of the payment. And the reason that we're doing 45% again goes back to the documentation of your trap events. So that app that we're going to supply you with, that app is going to be linked to your application. Everything that you put in on that app, we're going to be able to correlate that with you and your information and the location where the trap is at after the first successful documentation of a trap event. So the first time you trap pigs, you shoot them in the trap, you're going to pull out your phone, you're going to open that app, and as soon as you click that you're going to submit a feral hog trap event, it's going to open up your camera on your phone. This app will. You'll snap a picture of all the pigs in the trap, and then you'll hit next, and then it'll ask you how many males and how many females were removed in that trap, or how many were dispatched in that trap. Once you indicate how many males and how many females, you'll hit next. When you do that, that information is automatically sent to your profile on our database. When we get that first event, when we get that first removal event for your trap, that's when we'll initiate the rest of your payment. And that's when you'll receive the full 75%. So this is going to be a two-step payment process. And the reason that we're doing that again is because this removal data is incredibly important. And we wanted to make sure that people understand that, and that going forward, that's still going to be something that's required. So we don't want you to just submit your first one and then be done. You're going to have to submit every time you trap. You're just going to pull out your phone, take a picture, enter how many males and females, hit submit, and then you're done. It'll take you 15 to 20 seconds to do it, but it's just going to be a requirement of this program.
I had one more question real quick before we move on. I think in this stage here too is it okay to mix and match equipment between different equipment vendors?
Yes, that will be something that you can do. If you are interested in a Pig Brig system, and then you're also interested in a smart trap system, you will be able to purchase those two different systems if you want to do that. You will, again, on this application, when we go through it, I'll show it, but you can indicate which system you want to buy. We have approved systems. You can indicate that you want to buy two different systems if you wish to do that. So yes.
There's one
Okay.
other question that came in. Are camera system for these traps included in this?
Yes, the camera systems are included. So if you buy a Pig Brig system, you will be able to also purchase a cellular camera with that system. That is going to be a piece of equipment that we will cost share with you. So whatever that camera is, and I don't know if I've specifically talked with Aaron about this yet or not, but we're looking for those cameras, those cellular cameras, to all the cameras and the traps to be on one invoice. So you'll work with Pig Brig to order that camera as well, if that's possible. I believe it is, but I may need to follow up with Aaron on that.
Yeah, we've got bundles in place that it would include second set kits. We have bundles that's including cameras, cell-based cameras as well.
Okay, great. And so that's the Pig Brig system. Now our smart trap systems, those smart traps also come with live feed cameras as well. So that's just standard part of it. And we're also covering 1 year's worth of data for those live feed cameras as well. But those are the smart traps. But with the Pig Brig specifically, yes, we are covering cell cameras, 1 cell camera per trap.
That's all that I see in questions right now at this point, Ryan.
Okay, great. Well, I'm going to try to share my screen, and we'll work through the application, and I'll kind of talk about each piece and what we're looking for.
While you're moving that around too, Ryan,
Uh-huh.
there's one question that did come in regarding equipment while you were loading this up. It says, what if we already have a Pig Brig trap? I suppose if they want to just add the camera system to that.
So we will not be paying for just a cellular camera, where we will only be paying for trap systems, and we will not be paying for equipment that has already been purchased. So if you've purchased a trap, a couple of weeks ago, unfortunately, we're not going to be paying for that. We're only going to be paying for equipment that has been authorized through our application process. And so, anything that you buy, once you've been approved, that's something that we'll cover. Okay, so this is it. This is what you'll see. I think this is pretty much the finished product that you're going to see whenever it goes live on January 2nd. First thing you'll see is your project number. That's something that you'll want to record and keep down for future reference if something was to happen. And all this is a timestamp. We're talking about the date and then the time that we're at here for where you're going to be. And so you'll want to keep track of that. And that's, like I said, just a timestamp. So you have your basic information that you'll fill out here: your name and email address, mailing address, all your basic information, and that will be how we get things to you when we need to. And so you'll fill out that basic information, and then you'll be presented with all of the different options that we have here for this conservation incentive program. And you can apply for multiple practices if you wish. Again, though, keep in mind that regardless of how many practices you apply for, your max reimbursement is still going to be $10,000. So it's not $10,000 for feral hog trapping and also another $10,000 for bank stabilization. It's a $10,000 reimbursement, max reimbursement for all of them included that you want to apply for. So you would select feral hog trapping, and then you're going to be presented with the information again regarding the rules and regs and the practices and all that. So we'll go through it here just real quick. We're talking about how the feral hog trap conservation incentive program is available any landowner in Arkansas, granted you have at least 100 acres. We have the wording about the co-op. Again, it's a 75% cost share program, max reimbursement to $10,000. We just have that here again. All applicants will be required to complete an online technical training course before receiving your first payment. We've already mentioned that. Once you receive your 6-digit code, then you'll be emailed the approval letter. And I will also receive that 6-digit code. So you won't have to send any codes to me. I will also be emailed your code. And once I have confirmation of that code, that's when you get your approval letter. Again, we just have worded or language here about if you apply for the Pig Brig system, you're going to be able to get a cellular camera with that. Language here about like the 2-step payment process that I was referring to. You'll get the first 45% demonstrated by actual receipts, and then you'll get the last 30% after you document that first successful trapping event. Finally, here we have the monitoring again. We have the removal numbers through the app, and the app is actually called ArcGIS Quick Capture. Quick Capture is a product of Esri, and it's a very simple app to work, very user-friendly. That's why we decided to go with it, and it also integrates with our application here. And then we have the surveys, and then we have the water quality monitoring aspect. And we'll only be We'll only be pulling water quality samples from a handful of applicants, handful of properties. You know, we're looking for specific streams that are going to be able to give us the DNA samples that we're looking for. We are going to be testing for DNA, feral hog DNA over time. And the basic concept is that we want to see a reduction in feral hog DNA in these streams over time. We're not necessarily testing for water quality. We're testing for feral hog density. And this is just another way to do that. Okay, so then we get to which traps are eligible for this program. So you can see that we have our smart trap systems here. These are offered by Game Changer. And then you have your Pig Brig option here. You can indicate you want to buy the Pig Brig. And let's say you also wanted to purchase, like somebody asked, you're interested in purchasing a smart trap system, and you can indicate you want to purchase that as well. So you can click whichever ones that you like. You can click as many as you like. I suggest only clicking the ones that you intend to purchase. So again, that's how that's going to work. You have your options here, a nice picture so you can see what you're looking at. So you indicate which trap you want to purchase. And then the next thing that you'll come to is your land use types. So this is basically a question that is referring to whatever is happening on your property. We want you to indicate that so we know what landscapes are being most affected by feral hogs, and alternatively, we want to know what the landowners that if 99% of our applicants select that they're in hay, then we know that we need to be targeting, properties where people are producing hay, or if most of them select orchards or whatever it is. We want these data. And so if it's just you're in a DMAP club and all you do is you hunt that property, then just select wildlife. If you're growing, vegetables, then select vegetables. Whatever it is, it's, don't overthink it. And if you don't see anything on here that really applies to your property, then you can just select none of these and don't highlight anything else. But again, you can select all of these that apply to your property. And then next, you'll see you have, we want to know if you're applying as a cooperative or as an individual. I'll just indicate that I'm applying as an individual. And then the next is the total acreage for the property. I've got 250 acres that I own, and that's what it is. Now, if you're applying as a cooperative, we want you to give the total acreage for all the properties that you're going to indicate this trap could potentially be on. So if you own 250 and your neighbor owns 250, then you need to put 500 right here. So it's just the total acreage for your application. Next is the aspects about monitoring water quality. If you would allow an Arkansas Game and Fish representative to be out on your property to potentially monitor water quality, we'd like you to indicate that here. If you don't want us out there testing water samples, then you can just indicate no. And if you indicate no, then that's not going to disqualify you from this program. So don't feel like you have to say yes when you see this, because you certainly don't. And again, we're really only going to be looking to test 4 or 5 different properties across the whole state. So we're not going to be doing this on a lot of properties. And then next, we want to know if this is leased or owned property. If it's potentially both, if you lease it out and you own it, or if you have properties in your application where maybe you own a property, but you're also leasing another property for something else, and you're going to include that on your application, then indicate either one. And we may change this to where you can highlight both, or I'm sorry, both is there. So my apologies. But indicate which one is applicable to you. And then you'll see here the required documentation. So a geo-reference photo of feral hog damage. Again, that's what I was referring to about the geo-reference photo, and then the property boundary map. And if you're not aware on how to allow location services on your phone, you can very easily Google search enable location services on my phone on any search engine. And really, it's just going to your settings and you'll see location services, and then you'll turn them on. And then when you take a picture, all it is a GPS stamp on that photo, and then that will allow us to look up where that photo was taken, and then we can see that it was actually taken on a property that you indicated was going to be on your application. So this step right here is important. So are there other properties associated with the project? If you say yes, then you will be allowed to add related points, 1 per map. So that's important to remember. The original survey point will be centered on each additional map. as a point of reference. You will need to navigate to and click where the associated point is located. So if I was going to apply for, just my property, let's see here. So that's where I'm currently at. And you can see that, well, that's actually not where I'm currently at, but that's where it put it. So let's say that that was my property, and you can see that the name there is associated with that property. You can see who owns it, and that would be your location for your property where this project was going to be taking place, where you're going to be managing. And if that was it, if that's the only property that you're going to have on your application, then you're done, and you hit submit. Once you have uploaded your files and done that. But if you're applying as a co-op, you're going to want to hit yes, and you're going to get another map pop up. And as you see, the first point that you dropped here shows up right here. Okay. And that is your first map. That's the same exact map. And let's say that I have an additional property on my application. I'm applying as a co-op, and now I've hit my second map. I'm here on map 2, and you can see that that first point is still there on that original property that I indicated. What I would want to do on map 2 is say, this property right here is also going to be on my application. I'm also co-opting with that landowner. I'm just going to place that point there, and you can continue to do that for as many properties as you need to. Once you have indicated the properties that are going to be on your application, at that point you would hit submit. You can enable location services on your computer, and when you hit this button, it'll take you to wherever you're at currently, or you can type in an address and you can find your house or your property, whatever it is, or you can zoom in or zoom out and navigate to the property that you're going to have on your application. You can continue to do this until you are done with all the properties that are going to be on your application. Again, you hit 3, your original point came up where you started here, and then you would find the next property, put it there, and then continue on the process. So that just is going to allow us to determine where our traps are going to be used at, or determine where your traps are going to be used at throughout the course of the project. And that pretty much covers the application. We tried to make this as simple as possible. We did not want this to be cumbersome. We know that something like this can be daunting if you make it that way, and we did not want it to be like that. We wanted it to be simple and straightforward. So, Aaron, is there any questions that have come up since I've been going over this application?
Well, one of the things that comes to mind, Ryan, is that I'm hoping that a lot of the folks that are joining tonight will pass the word among their neighbors and family members and so forth and so on across Arkansas. Some of them may be a little bit unfamiliar with pig management and the benefits and all. So, what are some of the main, I guess, advantages to incorporating some pig management on your land that these folks may be able to take to family members or friends or neighbors or something of that nature?
Yeah, I think that kind of touches on what I was talking about at the beginning of this, is that feral hogs are not native to North America. So there's no ecological benefit to having them on your property other than, occasionally having something to shoot, but it's certainly not worth it. I mean, they cause all kinds of destruction to your natural resources. If you're farming your property for profit, they're going to be cutting into your profit margins. If you're managing a deer hunting club for trophy whitetails, they're going to be taking resources off the landscape. They're going to be pushing your native wildlife off of the area. I mean, feral hogs will compete for resources just like everything else will. And most of the time, a feral hog's going to win. So it doesn't matter if you're a farmer or a rancher, or you're just trying to manage a deer club. Feral hogs are working against you 100% of the time. And I can guarantee you that any marginal recreational opportunity that they're going to offer is not worth the cost associated with them having them on your property. If you have just a few on your property and you're thinking about doing this, I would encourage you to go ahead and move forward with this program, because a few turns into many very quickly. And I've seen what many can do on a property, and it's not good. You're losing your natural resources, you're losing the value of your property. So there's no benefit to having a hog on your property at all.
When will the application be available to fill out?
January 2nd.
January 2nd. That's an easy one. But like Ryan said, this is a first come, first serve. So it's one of those things that being tardy may end up getting you left out. So anything else, any other thoughts that you may have, Ryan?
Just want to hit on the removal data again. We can't hold anybody's feet to the fire after they submit that first removal event as far as the reimbursement goes. But I just want to emphasize that, again, that this is a pilot program. This is something that we're trying to set up and promote in Arkansas as a way to effectively control feral hogs. This is something that is, never happened before in the state of Arkansas, to my understanding. We've done trap loan programs before, but we've never done a true cost share program for feral hog traps. And through this pilot year, we have an opportunity to really do some good in the state. And for those that are going to miss out, there are going to be those that are going to miss out on this opportunity this first time around. It's just people won't hear about it. They will hear about it and they won't take advantage of it. But for those that do take advantage of it, you've got an opportunity to help Arkansans later on down the road protect their property. So I say all that to say that if we don't have the removal data, if we don't have the trap event data logged in that app, we're not going to be able to effectively show and prove our case here that what we did here actually made a dent in the population or actually did some good. So please be faithful to submit that data over the course of the project if you're able to get one of these traps.
Yeah, there's a couple of statements that's come in here. I guess one in the form of a question, the second a statement. The first one is in the form of the question says, will I need to get any information from Farm Services Agency for this application? And can our local Game and Fish Commission help with any problems?
So can you
Yeah,
go
the
over
first
that first
part of
part?
it is, yeah, first part of it is there any information that they need to get from the Farm Services Agency for the application?
No, you don't. There's no information that you'll need to be able to get from them.
And then the second part of it is, can the local Game and Fish Commission help with any problems?
Sure. Yeah, you can call us at any time. If you call the agency number, you're most likely, if you say feral hog, regardless of what your question is about, it's going to be directed to me. So I'm happy to help. But if you have trap specific questions, if you have I don't know how to set up the pig brig, or I don't know how to operate the pig brig effectively, that's something that Aaron is certainly going to be able to help you out with, but I can as well. And your local technicians and your local biologists that work for Arkansas Game and Fish will be able to help you as well.
Yeah, and that's something too, folks. Well, I'll definitely, me and several of my other team members, colleagues, and Pig Brig are going to be scattered across the state at numerous events and activities to help you out with efficiency and in the operation of the brig and other things to consider with management and so forth. So definitely stay in tune with Ryan, the state, and then your extension offices as well. So the other thing, the next one's come in as form of a statement. More so, is it says, I've been using the Nevada County Pig Brig and giving data back just like y'all are asking. It says, I need my own, thanks. So that's a good thing to know, that they already kind of know the format of what's going on.
Right.
The next thing that's out there come in again, it says, how many applications will be accepted and when will we know we've been approved?
Okay, so the number of applications is dependent really on the trap systems that are purchased. Right now, we have $1.2 million allotted to the feral hog practice. The different trap systems cost different amounts of money. When we hit that $1.2 million, we'll have to make a decision. The entire conservation incentive program was granted $3.2 million. 1.2 million of that went to the feral hog practice. So if we hit that cap at 1.2 early on in the year, they may divert funds to the feral hog practice and we can continue to provide traps to people. But I'm not guaranteeing that that's going to happen. So it's a first come, first serve. So on January 2nd, if you're interested in this, I would say just apply that week, and you'll guarantee that you're going to get a trap. You're going to have to fill out the application. You'll have to then watch the training video, which I said is about 9 minutes long, and then take the 10-question quiz. All those links will be on the Game and Fish website. As soon as you make an 8 out of 10 on the quiz, you and I will be emailed a 6-digit confirmation code. Once I have that code, you'll then get your approval letter through email. Once you receive that email of your approval letter, then you have the green light to go out and buy your trap.
All right. One more question. It's a little bit off the trap program, but it's something that's out there that comes up all the time. What about a poison tablet in the works or being approved by FDA?
So yeah, there's two main players right now in the poison world, from my understanding. There's a company out of Australia that's been working with USDA for several years now. They've kind of hit a stalemate this past year. They can't get past the field trials. They keep killing non-target animals, and they're having to reformulate now, which basically means they're having to basically start over from scratch. That's what a reformulation means. The other big player is LSU, and they've passed their pin trials. They've developed a toxicant bait that they've patented, and now they're looking to go to field trials. If they can perform well in their field trials and keep from killing non-target species, then that is something that is potentially coming down the pipe. Both the Australian company and LSU are using sodium nitrate as the active ingredient. So we'll just see where it goes with LSU. I really don't know. I mean, they've not tested it in the open field yet, so we don't know how it's going to affect birds. That's what's really been holding back the company from Australia, is they kill a lot of non-target bird species. And these guys from LSU have not tried it in the field, so we'll see how they do on birds. And the people from Australia never tested it in an area where we have bears. So I don't know how it's going to do in an area where you have bears either. It's probably going to be a situation where if you have bears, you're probably not going to be able to use it, because I can't envision a system where a pig is going to be able to get the bait, but a bear wouldn't. So we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah, and I think that either way it's going to go. It's going to have to be fed through a hopper that's a magnetized hopper that's going to prevent any smaller mammals or anything like that from being able to break that magnetic connection to be able to get access to it. But again, like you said, anywhere that's a bear present in the same area with pigs, bear will have no trouble breaking that magnetized connection in that hopper. So anyway, that's basically all the questions that are there. Statements that are there. They're just a particular support for a product that's there. But I think this has been one of those things that we want to make sure that this stays in a neutral zone as far as the information conveyed. So if anybody has any other questions, any other comments, anything like that, then we'll give you a couple of extra seconds here to be able to throw those in there, and we'll get those covered. If not, we'll draw to a close. And then again, too, folks, reach out to Pig Brig, reach out to me, anybody on the Pig Brig team. We'll be glad to help you through any of the things that we can. I know Ryan is always there to help out. His team is phenomenal. The Arkansas Extension Service is there to answer a lot of questions, and have got a lot of insights and a lot of experience using the different trap systems and so forth. So definitely use the resources that are there at your fingertips, and definitely feel like you're equipped. And if you don't feel like you've got the sufficient information, there's a ton of resources right there that can get that information to you. So anybody else, basically, it's just going to come down to the gavel slap here pretty quick. So it's going to be a going once, and I don't see anything, Ryan. So we're fixing to sell this thing, I think.
All right, that sounds good. I hope.
All right, Ryan, we do appreciate you. Yeah, we do appreciate you, and looking forward to working with y'all in the coming year, and getting a handle on what these things are doing in Arkansas.
Sounds great. Thank you.
You bet. Y'all have a safe evening, and let us know if we can help. Thanks, y'all, for joining us.